finances. Yes, so all these du'as that we are learning are for these situations when you have bills and payments and all this stuff that we are surrounded with. It is critical that we keep on making these du'as, which have come in the sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So today's du'a that we're going to learn, it is actually repeated by Prophet ﷺ. There's two mentions for it, and one is in the adhkar of the day and the evening, and then there's another hadith. So as far as the day adhkar of the morning and the evenings are concerned, Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu reported that he always would hear Prophet ﷺ making this supplication and making this dua. And this dua is, you are seeking refuge Allah from 8 things. 8 things. So basically there are like 4 pairs. So the dua is Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan wal-ajzi wal-kasal wal-bukhli wal-jubn wa ghalabat ad-dayn wa qahr al-rijal. But in another version, this dua has come in a little more expanded form, and that is basically the same thing, except you add Allahumma inni a'udhu bika in every instance. So this dua that we are learning today from the hadith, it is Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan wa a'udhu bika min al-ajzi wal-kasal wa a'udhu bika min al-jubni wal-bukhl wa a'udhu bika min ghalabat ad-dayn wa qahr al-rijal. So basically the word a'udhu bika is repeated before everything. So the background to this, the hadith is, there was an Ansari Sahabi by the name of Abu Umama radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and he was sitting in the masjid, very worried, extremely worried. And Prophet ﷺ came and he said, what makes you sit at this hour, at this time? You know, so this was not a time of salah. An unabled man at the time of Prophet ﷺ, and he's sitting in the masjid in the middle of the day when people are supposed to be working. So he said, O Prophet of Allah, I have so many worries and I've been overpowered with debt. Meaning like I have so much to give that it has been overwhelming and I do not know what to do. So he said, like, I had no other option but just to come to the masjid because, you know, that was consuming him. And he said, you know, Prophet ﷺ said, you know what, let me teach you a dua, some kalimat, and if you were to say them, Allah will take care of these worries and Allah will pay and assist you in helping that, pay off that debt. You know, pay off that loan, subhanAllah. And this is the dua that was taught. So let's go and break down this dua. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan. Ham is extreme worry. What do you have worries about? Future, what will happen tomorrow? Will I have my job or not? Will I have this or not? Will I have enough by the end of the month or not? Will I be able to make my payments or not? All of that is hum, right? And hazan is sadness. So this state of sadness that a person goes into where, you know, like you regret, especially state of sadness is for your past. Like, I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have done that. I wish I could have done that, right? So that regret that is coupled with sadness, that is hazan. So another hadith I think which is very important for us to understand this first word, which is hum. Prophet ﷺ, he said, Man kanat til akhirah hammahu, that whoever's worry and concern is akhirah, ja'alahu Allahu ghina fi dunya, Allah will make him rich in this world. Fi qalbihi, like in his heart he will be very rich if he has concern for the akhirah. And then Allah and then Prophet ﷺ said, Allah will bring forth this dunya wa hiya raghima, like this dunya will come in front of you. وَجَعَلَ شَمْلَهُ, and Allah will organize this person's affairs. And then وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هَمُّهُ الدُّنْيَا, whoever's worry is only this dunya and not the akhirah, Allah will disorganize their affairs. And then they will only get from this dunya whatever they deserve, whatever has been written for them. Nothing more will come for them in this dunya. So, you know, Prophet ﷺ is instructing, when a person puts forth their priorities as akhirah first, then they are enriched in their heart, and their affairs are organized, and then whatever they have been written for the dunya, it will automatically come to them. So, going back to the dua, hammi wal hazan. Number 2, wa a'udhu bika min al-ajzi wal kasal. Ajz is incapacity, right? Incapacity is, and you know the word that we use for an extremely old person who is unable to do their to to do their duties is ajiz. Ajiz is like you cannot walk anymore, you cannot do any these things anymore. So al-ajz is you want to do something but you're unable to do it. Sometimes we find these roadblocks in our lives. And kasal is laziness. Then number 3, وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنَ الْجُبْنِ وَالْبُخْلِ, or asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for refuge from cowardice and miserliness. Sometimes we're too afraid to take a risk. We're too afraid to try new things. We're too afraid to go talk to people, right? Sometimes Allah has put risk in those conversations, right? Subhanallah, nowadays people talk about networking, right? Go network and you'll find options and you'll find jobs. Make this dua before you go there, right? Like, when you're like scared, should I talk to him about this or not? What will happen? وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنَ الْجُبْنِ وَالْبُخْلِ, and miserliness. Why miserliness? Because remember, like one of the ways to increase risk, we will talk about it, is to give sadaqah. Sadaqah will increase risk. And then lastly, وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ غَلَبَةِ الدَّيْنِ وَقَهْرِ الرِّجَالِ. You ask Allah protection and refuge from overwhelming debt and the powering of other people. Meaning other people control you, other people have influence over you, other people, like you are become dependent upon that, dependent upon other people. And then overwhelming debt is something that, subdues people, like that restricts a person's freedom. You do not have that choice. So, Prophet ﷺ sought refuge from it. And as I mentioned yesterday, some people, like we have like 25-year, 30-year mortgages and all this debt that is accumulated upon us. So, some people have credit card debt, without going into the prohibition of riba and all that stuff. These du'as are really important that we make them almost every single day, and we will see the barakah and our rizq expand. And these du'as are taught by Prophet ﷺ to us. Like think about it, like Prophet ﷺ taught us so many things and we don't use that. Like we have the guidance, but we don't use it. The guidance is like, okay, put it in the books, put it in the documents. This needs to be brought into our daily practice. And as I said, in another hadith from Anas radiallahu anhu, Prophet ﷺ would repeat this dua in the morning and in the evening. So inshallah, let's repeat this once together and hopefully we can all learn this. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazn. وأعوذ بك من العجز والكسل وأعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل وأعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all our du'as. جزاكم الله خيرا.